So I have seen some similarities in healing and thriving as a divorced single mom and helping other women on the journey, as well as losing weight and getting in the best shape of your life and in life and business. And so in today's video, I wanted to share some of those similarities because I feel like I talk a lot about them maybe in my intro. And so today I wanted to share how your communication skill, like how the principles that I teach in your communication with yourself, with God, and with others, how there's a similarity in that losing weight, right? If you don't know me, I'm Coach Kofia. I help women heal and thrive emotionally after any type of breakup or divorce. And like I said before, I am seeing the similarities on my own weight loss and fitness journey at 40. I'm seeing the similarities in me healing and thriving in my relationship with food. Well, one of the things that I love is communication. And so I often find that my clients are drawn to me because they have a desire to improve their communication. And they don't usually come up to me and say, "Hey, Kofi, I want to improve my communication." But it's usually something like, "Hey, I'm feeling misunderstood. I'm not necessarily getting my point across. My kids don't respond well to me. I feel like I'm beating myself up. Maybe I don't feel a connection with my relationship with God or with my kids." And I can immediately identify that we have a connection issue, which usually stems from a communication issue. And so I'm not going to go into like all of that today, but one of the three things that I literally harp on is the method that I teach in relation to how you communicate. And that is the three T's. And that's your timing, your tact, and your tone, right? Like sometimes I've worked with women who are still in relationship with their spouse and they decide not to leave. And we still have to improve on their communication skills because that is sometimes the problem. And so I really just I probably need to make another video about that, but it's really about just having the right timing in delivering your message. It's not always urgent just because you feel like it's urgent. You have to have the right tact. So like your delivery needs not be whack. You want to ensure that everything that you're saying is related to the situation or circumstance. You're considering the environment on which you having that conversation. And then the last T is tone. Most things, if you study any type of communication, you realize that only like 7% of communication is verbal. 93% is nonverbal. And so it's really about your body language, the tone of voice that you use, the tonality in the way that you ask the question, like, "What's up?" or "What's up? What's up?" Like you can say the same word, but it will have a different meaning and it will relay a different underlying issue, if you will, based on the tone, right? And so how that relates to your relationship with losing weight. And that's what I'm going to go into more detail with. But I think I'm getting too close to the store and I don't know if I'm going to have time to go into it, but we're going to try. So the timing is this. If you are set out to go on a weight loss journey and you do not prepare for that, you want to you're not going to succeed, right? If you haven't dealt with the things that maybe prevented you from achieving those goals previously, it may not be successful. And so you want to make sure that you're ready. Like, is the time now? Is this the right time for you to get your goals achieved, right? Is this going to be the best fit? You have to determine that, right? And if not, then what time would be? What would be the ideal circumstance that you would be able to achieve your goals, right? So listen, in addition to making sure that you are personally ready, you also need to consider two other aspects as it relates to time. Are you setting out with a realistic timeline? Like, are you trying to lose 10 pounds in 2 days? What is the timeline that you're putting attached to the goals that you have? That's going to be big in making sure that you stay motivated and making sure that you stay successful and really giving yourself small wins to be able to feel that dopamine hit and that boost of, "I can do this," right? Now, the third thing as it relates to time is going to be making sure you determine if these are long term or short term goals. So, yes, you want to make sure that the timeline is realistic, but you want to include long and short term goals. I like to have goals that are more process oriented versus results oriented. So, like, I want to have goals that really focus on things that I can control. And I can control whether or not I move my body a certain amount of times, the calories that I put in my mouth, the amount of water that I drink, the amount of sleep that I get. On average, I can do that. And so that is going to be key as it relates to the time in our weight loss. Are you considering all of those three things as it relates to your time? Now, listen, the second T that I told you guys about is timing, tact. Tact is number two. So you're probably like, how does tact relate to losing weight? Let me tell you. So your tact is going to be coming in handy when you think about when you set a goal and you don't make it, or you set out to do something and you don't achieve it. How do you talk to yourself? Like, how do you handle your responses to not meeting the goals? That is the tact part of it. Do you have a whole blame game, or do you have a bunch of shame that comes up? Because if so, then you're not handling tact in the proper, I don't even know if I want to say proper, but in the best way that you could to be successful on your journey. The way that you can respond to disappointment is really by assessing it, like I say, like you're a scientist of yourself, assessing all of the information as data and not labeling it. Don't label it as good or bad, or I'm a failure, or I'm an idiot, or I suck, or I always do this. That's labeling it. You want to get to a place where you can look at something and say, you know what, this is all that this is. And so and I think I've gotten really good at that because I've been writing court reports and I've been on the stand, and I used to put very like flowery language, and it really would define and label people. And it's like, how do you know that they were angry? It's more so, no, well, on their face, they had a frown, right? And so really just getting a lot better at your ability to describe things about yourself in a way that's kind and compassionate. If you get that part down, I promise you it's going to be successful, okay? So the other part of tag is kind of a play on words. It is tackling your emotions as it relates to losing weight, right? So I have found that a lot of us are not trained on how to deal with our emotions. We're not even trained on how to identify them or feel them. We usually just stuff them in a way to avoid them. And so I know that this may be a little bit more difficult. And y'all can let me know in the chat anything that I talk about, any video that you're like, I would love for you to talk more about that. Please let me know, because that's my jam. I love to teach and educate and encourage, and I feel like it just comes out all together. So I know it can be difficult as it relates to our emotions and dealing with our emotions, because it can really feel like super overwhelming. He's gonna let me go by. And so we have to take a little bit more effort in kind of understanding ourselves emotionally, right? So for example, when my daughters would be real slow getting out the door when I had to go to a 9 to 5, and I would just be so upset about it. Like, I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. I was just like, I'm just so mad. Like, I don't like this. I don't like the way this feels. And I would really like for us to leave out the house and it be peaceful, like, I don't want to set my kids up for failure by like fussing at them, right? Well, I started to sit and reflect. Sorry, I got stuff in my eye. I started to sit and reflect on what is the problem here, like Kofia. And some people call it, I don't know what the actual like scientific term is, but it's basically like asking yourself questions like 7 layers deep, right? And so I think it might have been probably something I learned in some book or something, but it's asking yourself questions. Ultimately, I'm not going to go through the whole question. If you want me to teach on that, y'all let me know. It was getting to this place where I realized that the anger that would come out would be because of a deeper rooted issue, right? I realized that most times I wasn't really angry. And it was really because I was afraid. I was afraid. And you're probably like, you were afraid, like, that your kids are running late. Like, how does that even relate? Well, I'm a divorced single mom. I'm the only one providing. I don't get any support financially, any otherwise. And so my source of being able to take care of my children at the time, I was thinking, one, this is like two-sided. One, I was thinking that my source was my job. And so it was like this ripple effect, right? And this is not an intentional thought. Like, I wasn't yelling at them thinking, oh my God, this, right? I was yelling at them surface level. But what I realized is that if you dig a little deeper, if we are late for work, if we're late leaving the house, you're late for me dropping you off. I'm late to getting to work. Multiple times of me getting late to work, they're going to write me up. Multiple times of that, I'm going to get fired. Multiple times. And if I get fired, who going to take care of us? Who going to pay the bills? Then I'm going to be this mom on the street who can't provide for her children. Like, fear. Fear was the emotion. And so I started to do that, like, literally with all my responses. Every single emotion, any frustration, any well up of any emotion, I really just started to dig deep. And I think I feel like anything I learn, I want to teach somebody else, because I feel like that's a part of like really mastering it. I would encourage you to just kind of like reflect, right? Master reflection and looking at how you respond to things and how you look at things, and do it in a way, bringing this all back, like reflect without beating yourself up, right? I talked about that shame and the blame. Don't blame everybody. Like, that's a part of it. Like, you be aware, just off top, like, be aware that your initial response is going to think, no, it's them. They are the problem. Okay? If they would get their butts up, right? That's the human nature. That's the human nature in us. It takes a little bit more maturity, if you will. Discipline comes up. And it's really just digging deeper at the things that are showing themselves. Every response that you have, and I feel like I'm going into this whole emotion thing, but every response you have really is a symptom. It's a symptom of something deeper, and we just got to take the time. How that relates to us and losing weight is, you want to be reflective in your responses. How do you feel when you don't get the food that you want? What were you anticipating when you did get the food? Go 7 layers deep. Well, when I get the food, it makes me feel good. Okay, well, why do you want to feel good? And so really just reflecting on your emotions in a way that's kind and compassionate, without blaming other people, without blaming yourself, without blaming your body, and without shaming other people and shaming yourself and shaming your body. When you can reflect and not blame or shame, you are literally operating in a place of tact towards your weight loss journey. The last thing I want to mention is your tone. So the tone as it relates to communication, I kind of shared a little bit about that. You're thinking, okay, how does my tone relate to me losing weight? Well, it kind of plays into the tact, in that if the way that you talk to yourself is rough, and you can tell if you talk to yourself rough by the way you talk to other people. The way you talk to other people, you talk to yourself 10 times worse than that. If anybody has ever said that they don't like the way you talk, if anybody has said that you have a slick mouth, if you have said that you have a slick mouth, if you are good at criticizing and analyzing, and you have yet to master your ability to deliver a message, if your gift is in your mouth, in your speaking, in your sharing, in your storytelling, in your teaching, you, my friend, you probably have a tone that is a little harsh, And ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. Listen, I know. I feel you. I feel you. I have done so much work, and it's so uncomfortable, and it feels so yucky at first, and it feels like I'm just changing and I'm not being authentic. And it's like, I need to tell the truth. And it's like, you can do that in a different way. And so, really looking at how you respond to other people, you respond to yourself 10 times worse than that. And so, it's really about changing the tone that you speak. And I hear a lot of people, they're like, I need to, talk to me rough and all this. Is like, you think God talked to you like that? He don't. He don't. Maybe your parents did. They did the best they could. But he don't talk to his kids like that. That is something that has been learned through trauma and hurt and mistreatment and abuse, and ignorance. The people who did that stuff to you, they probably were unaware, because it was probably something passed down generations and generations and generations. And you go back to slavery. If you're a brown skinned person watching this, like, it's something that's been learned, right? However, even though it's been learned, in order for us to change anything, we have to take responsibility for those things. And we cannot take responsibility for things that we don't acknowledge or admit are things. If we don't name a thing a thing. And so it's really asking God, can I be softer in my delivery? Can I be softer with myself, right? We in this soft girl era, and I love it. Love it. Can you be softer with yourself? And it's really about, okay, what is the tone that I take with myself? Am I beating myself up? Listen, do I jokingly say, and I had to, listen, I promise you I had to overcome this. Jokingly criticize yourself. Oh, that's dumb. That's stupid. I eliminated the whole vocabulary in my house with each other. Like, we do not talk that way to each other. I think about the way that I would speak to, like, a president. Like, at the time, this is what I compared it to. The president of the United States, or a judge, like, in all my emotions, and I'm talking to the judge, what are the words that I would, and you were put input, right? Input the person that you respect the most, right? Input pastor, input pope, leader of your ministry, input whoever you respect the most. What would the tone be that you take with that person? And I see hear some of y'all saying, I'll take this same tone with them. If you taking the same tone with everybody, you got to order. You got to order, because how you talk to your man shouldn't be how you talk to your children, shouldn't be how you talk to your boss. It varies, right? It varies based on the relationship. And the most important relationship we have is the one outside of our relationship with God, is with ourselves. He say, love others as we love ourselves. And so if I don't take a loving, kind, gracious, if all the fruits of the Spirit are not in the way that I speak to myself, then I don't have the proper tone. And so that is how our weight loss is tied to, like, healing and thriving, right? The healing part of healing those wounds, healing those things, those beliefs, those thoughts, those patterns, and thriving in learning and developing new habits, new skills, to be able to be the person that we desire. And so we can do the things that we desire, so that we can ultimately have the things that we desire. And so that is how they relate. Please like this video. It helps me out so much by pushing it out to the algorithm. Please, please, please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and you find this content enjoyable. And let me know in the comments below if there's anything else that you found helpful or that you would like for me to go deeper on. I would love to just give y'all what y'all want, right? And so you help me by liking and subscribing. I help you by giving you what you want and need. Okay, perfect. It's a match made in heaven. So y'all go be great by what? Mastering what's on your plate. We'll talk soon. Later. Peace.